Have you ever driven down a deserted road late at night? The darkness pressing in, your headlights piercing through the unknown. There's a story, whispered among truckers and night owls, about a stretch of road where reality blurs and nightmares come alive. This is the tale of the Vanishing Hitchhiker. It was a chilly autumn night in 2003. Jack, a seasoned truck driver, was on his usual route through the back roads of Pennsylvania. The route was lonely, flanked by dense woods on either side, and notorious for its lack of cell phone reception. As midnight approached, a dense fog began to settle, reducing visibility. Jack slowed his rig, eyes straining to make out the road ahead. That's when he saw her. Standing by the side of the road was a young woman, drenched from head to toe, her white dress clinging to her form. She looked desperate, her thumb outstretched, eyes pleading. Jack hesitated. Picking up hitchhikers was against company policy, but leaving a lone woman stranded in the middle of nowhere didn't sit right with him. He pulled over, rolling down the passenger window. "Need a ride?" he called out. She nodded silently, her eyes hollow and distant. She climbed into the cab, water pooling at her feet. Jack offered her a blanket. "What's your name?" he asked. "Emily," she whispered. "Where are you headed, Emily?" "Home," she replied, her voice barely audible. He tried to engage her in conversation, but her responses were curt, distant. Eventually, silence filled the cab, broken only by the hum of the engine. After about 20 miles, Emily suddenly spoke. "Stop here." Jack looked around. They were in front of an old, dilapidated house, its windows boarded up, the garden overrun with weeds. "Are you sure?" he asked, skeptically. She nodded. She left the blanket on the seat, opened the door, and stepped out into the mist. Before Jack could say another word, she vanished into the shadows. The next day, unable to shake off the eerie encounter, Jack decided to investigate. He drove back to the old house in daylight. Approaching the front door, he noticed it was slightly ajar. Inside, the house was abandoned, layers of dust covering old furniture. On the mantelpiece, he spotted a series of photographs. One caught his eye, a young woman in a white dress. Emily. A cold shiver ran down his spine. Hearing a noise behind him, Jack turned to see an elderly woman. "Can I help you?" she asked, suspicion in her eyes. Jack explained his encounter from the previous night. The woman's face paled. "That's impossible," she murmured. "Emily was my daughter. She died 10 years ago, drowned on her way back home." Jack felt the room spin. The elderly woman pointed to a framed newspaper clipping on the wall. The headline read, "Local girl drowns after hit and run." The article detailed how Emily had been hitchhiking home on a foggy night when a driver lost control and plunged her car into the nearby river, trapping Emily inside. Every year since, on the anniversary of her death, travelers on that lonely road have reported picking up a hitchhiking girl in a white dress, seeking a ride home. To this day, drivers on that stretch of road are wary. If you ever find yourself driving there on a foggy autumn night and see a young woman in white, think twice before offering her a ride. Some passengers are not of this world.